My name is Colleen, and this is my kitchen. Believe it or not, this was me 4 years ago. I struggled with my weight my entire life. And finally, I came to the realization that diets don't work. By simply eating healthy and moving more, I was able to lose over 100 pounds. I started at a size 26W, and within about a year and a half, I went to a size 12, no W. And best of all, I've now kept the weight off for over 2 years, and counting. So now here I am in my kitchen showing you how you can eat healthy and lose weight just like I have. Because if I can do it, you can too. Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. Tonight, I have my favorite fall vegetable for you, the butternut squash. We're going to be making a butternut squash lasagna. There's no pasta in this. Instead, we're going to be slicing up our friend, the butternut squash, into thin slices, and we're going to use it as if it was pasta. So it's going to cut the carbs and the calories in the dish, and it's absolutely wonderful. So I hope you'll give this a try. Let's get busy making the dish. I'm excited tonight to try out my brand new Analon copper stainless steel. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Skillet that I won at the International Food Bloggers Conference. So I have it heating up on medium here. I'm going to add just a teaspoon of olive oil and let that heat up a little bit. I know the oil is heated up when I can smell that strong olive oil aroma coming off of the pan. So now I'm going to go ahead and add 1 pound of raw, extra lean ground turkey breast. You can see it's whiter in color because it's breast meat, not dark meat, and it's 99% fat-free. So it's very, very lean. We're just going to let this brown up. It's going to take, I'd say 4 to 5 minutes tops. Now that the turkey is browned up, let's go ahead and add 1 cup of sliced brown mushrooms, or crumbly mushrooms. And let's cook this for maybe 5 minutes more. Before we do that, let's not forget, add a pinch of coarse sea salt there. Once those mushrooms cook up, I'm going to add 3 ounces of fresh or raw baby spinach. Now, you can use frozen spinach for this. I don't like the water that it adds to the dish, and fresh spinach also has more nutrients. So once I add this in here, hopefully without dropping too much on the ground, I'm just going to let it cook for about 1 or 2 minutes. I don't want the spinach to get really mushy. I just want it to wilt a little bit and kind of fold into that turkey mixture. Before we finish up the filling, let's go ahead and slice up that butternut squash. And I want to show you how I slice this because there is a little bit of a technique to it. It's very, very easy. First of all, you're going to need 1 butternut squash. This is just shy of 4 pounds, whole with all of its seeds and its peel and everything intact, which we're going to remove. But when you buy it in the store, you want to buy one that's right around 4 pounds. And I always like to look for one that has, semi-straight sides as much as I can because it makes it easier to peel. And for this recipe, I like to find one that's a little tall. It has a little length to it because it just helps fill out the pan when I'm laying them down like my lasagna noodles. So let me show you how I cut this up. So first thing you want to do is go ahead and cut off your top and your bottom. And what that's going to do is that'll give you a place to start with, and that'll also create a flat surface so that your squash isn't rocking around, just like that. So then I take my knife and I just very slowly run it down the outside of the butternut squash, get all that peel off. You can see what I mean. It's a little hard sometimes around the bottom of the squash. So that's why I like to look for one that's a little straighter. And so I just keep doing this until I have all of that peel removed. Once I have that butternut squash peeled, so you can see I have the whole peel off there, I just cut it in half lengthwise, and now I'm going to take a spoon and just scrape out the seeds. Very little seeds, very little pulp inside the butternut squash, which is why I love it, because there's so much meat to it. Now that I have these cleaned out, it's time to go ahead and slice them. Now, you can absolutely use a knife, but this is where a mandolin slicer comes in absolutely beautifully. So I have the setting here on my blade. I have just a flat blade, and I have the setting set for about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to take the squash and push it through. Do watch your fingers with these. I have sliced myself on many occasions on here. And we're just going to take this through until we get these nice thin slices, such as this. It takes a while to get there sometimes because of that bulb on the bottom of the squash. So I'm going to go ahead and slice both of these up and then show you how we finish assembling this. For the remainder of our filling, we're going to use not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 cheeses. That's right. This is going to be a slightly decadent dish, but I am using the cheeses in a low quantity, and I'm also using skim cheeses where I can. So the first thing I have is a 15-ounce can, which is 1 3/4 cups of part-skim ricotta or low-fat ricotta. Don't use the fat-free stuff when it comes to ricotta cheese. And that's because the fat-free stuff is actually skim milk plus a whole bunch of chemical additives to try to add in the flavor and the texture of the fat that you get with the whole milk ricotta. Whereas the low-fat version is just the skim milk. It has a little more calories than the fat-free version, but it's very, very negligible. It's better for you, and it tastes a lot better as well. Now to that ricotta, I have kind of one of the stars of the show, and that's gorgonzola cheese. We're going to use 2 ounces of gorgonzola. I think that there is no flavor combination better than gorgonzola, butternut squash, and a little bit of sage. I just think that they are made in heaven. Then I have 1 ounce of shredded skim mozzarella cheese. Again, don't use the fat-free, go for the low-fat. So that's 3 cheeses. The 4th, our Parmesan cheese, will actually be on the top of the lasagna. So the 3 cheeses in the filling, 4th on top. So to this, we're going to go ahead and add 1 egg. And then I have 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh sage. Told you that I like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a good stir. I almost forgot, we want a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt in here. And then we're going to fold in that meat and mushroom and spinach mixture that's been cooling on the stove. We don't want it too warm, otherwise it's going to kind of cook that egg and the cheese. Go ahead and dump that out there. So now all that's left to do is to mix this up and assemble our lasagna. Now it's important to note the oven is preheating at 375. I have a nice, it's about a 9 by 13 baking dish that I've brushed with just a teaspoon of olive oil on the bottom here. And then I want to take my butternut squash and lay it across. I try to find the bigger pieces and lay that in there and use my shorter pieces to close up any gaps that are left from the odd shape of the squash. Once I have the squash down on the bottom, then I'm just going to take about a third of this, or I'm sorry, half of this meat mixture. And we're going to spread that somewhat carefully so we don't disturb that squash across these squash pieces. And finally, one last layer of squash, and it looks like I'm going to have a little bit left over here. That's great. I'll have some leftovers to make another meal out of. Okay, to finish this off, first thing is my secret ingredient, and that is nutmeg. Nutmeg goes amazingly well with butternut squash. So I'm just going to use about a teaspoon, sprinkle it really lightly over the top there. Then we have our fourth cheese, 1 ounce of shredded Parmesan, Parmigiano Reggiano. I have 2 tablespoons of chopped hazelnuts. I'm telling you, this dish is absolutely amazing. And then last but not least, I have a tablespoon of freshly chopped sage. Okay, so now what we want to do is go ahead and cover this with foil. I'm going to bake it for a total of 1 hour at 375. I'm going to bake it for 50 minutes, that's 50, with the foil on. And then the last 10 minutes with the foil off to let the cheese brown up really nicely. And here we go. How beautiful is that? Butternut squash lasagna with 4 cheeses. Let's go ahead and slice this up and serve it up. How beautiful is this butternut squash lasagna? Now, I did let it sit for 5 minutes just to kind of minimize the liquid that might have gathered in the pan. And we're going to go ahead and cut this into 6 wedges. This recipe does serve 6 people. You can see these are nice, big, filling wedges. Look how big that is. Absolutely beautiful. Take just a small piece of this. Absolutely delicious. I hope you'll give this a try. Let me know what you think. I'm going to go sit down and enjoy my dinner, and I will see you next time in my kitchen.